Hello, and we are Minds Over Matter, and this is our Switch Energy Alliance case competition for 2025 presentation, and we are talking on the Bolivian energy crisis with our response and with support from Brazil. I'm Sydney.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Caden.
And I'm Annabelle.
So we're going to go ahead and start and just look at what our final pitch entails. We have proposed a 10-year plan that promotes diversified energy future for Bolivia, which will bring consistent energy to urban and rural communities. This will be accomplished through a four-part plan. There will be a $2 billion project to expand grid to rural communities, an international exchange program to give Bolivian engineers more experience with different energy technologies, programs to give more people the opportunity to pursue post-secondary education, and the formation of an interdisciplinary committee to give every party a voice in Bolivia's energy future. For a little bit of background information, Bolivia's annual GDP is $49 billion. The capital is Sucre, and the HDI is 0.733. The unemployment rate is 3.09%. Final note would be that predominant exports are natural gas, gold, zinc, silver, lithium, with potential for a lot more mining projects. The current energy situation in Bolivia is looking at 99.8% of the total population has access to energy, but wait, this doesn't necessarily mean that the energy works all of the time. They also have a small deal of renewable energy. Their clean cooking is looking at 81% of the population, and their energy efficiency is 3893.7 megajoules per US dollars.
While the access to electricity is high in Bolivia, the true energy security isn't represented by a binary metric like electricity access. So it's important to note this access doesn't guarantee reliability, which is whether you can trust the electricity will be available throughout the day. The amount of electricity, well, most households have access to power. It could be limited to only certain power hours of the day. Then also affordability, where it doesn't mean that households can reasonably afford to use it often, and then efficiency, where poor infrastructure can lead to power loss as not all the voltage will make it into the house from the electricity source. Yeah, for further background information on Bolivia's energy infrastructure, for accessibility, Bolivia has many programs working towards countrywide energy access for cooking and electricity, transportation, and heating/AC, such as Program Electricidad para Vivir con Dignidad, PEVD, but is still yet to meet that goal of universal access by 2025. For environmental impact, there are many methods to get energy in Bolivia that have a negative impact on the environment, such as acquisition of fossil fuels, and more recently, some protected territories have been opened for oil and gas mining exploration, which will have a very negative impact on the community. For reliability and quality of energy services, urban areas like the cities of La Paz and Santa Cruz have a relatively good source of modern energy services. Many rural areas still experience a lack of most basic services, which includes reliable and affordable access to electricity and improved biomass cookstoves. Now going on to affordability, more detail for that. Energy services in Bolivia are still not universally affordable. And while urban areas have modern energy services, rural areas still face significant challenges, which include unreliable access to electricity. However, energy prices have dipped by over 10% in 2024, which does indicate improvement on this front. For safety and security, though the government has invested in upgrading transmission and distribution infrastructure to enhance grid stability and minimize outages, the rugged terrain and geographical diversity of Bolivia present challenges, which can lead to disruptions in the supply. For cooking fuels in rural Bolivia, such as wood, charcoal, gas, and dried cow dung for cooking, these can significantly impact health due to smoke emissions, and safer fuels like ethanol and solar cookers can help with this in the future. There are many potential roadblocks in the future of Bolivia's energy system, where first, Bolivia has one of the lowest population densities in South America at 11 people per square kilometer, which makes it really difficult to electrify rural areas. There also is significant investment in grid extension and infrastructure, which is required to electrify rural areas, which are very underserved at the moment. Bolivia also has a total of 11 renewable energy projects at the moment, but this transition to renewables still has challenges such as initial capital costs, logistical barriers, and concerns with financial sustainability. Previous Bolivian energy strategies have been concentrated on natural gas exploitation, which limits the development of alternative energy sources like solar, wind, and hydropower.
Bolivia has made many progress in the timeline in their energy timeline. Starting in 1994, capitalization law, which allowed public enterprises to integrate capital pay into their mixed economy. In 2002, Bolivia's Rural Unification Plan, or PLABOR, expanded and improved the infrastructure through the private sector to meet many Bolivians' needs. Continuation of that project was the decentralized infrastructure for rural transformation, which increased electricity access and improved living standards of rural Bolivians. In 2008, Electricity for Living with Dignity program was enacted with the goal to have 100% energy access by 2025, with focus on rural areas access to energy. In 2009, electricity was defined as a human right in their constitution when their president, Evo Morales, had the constitution rewritten. And then 2021 was the last significant improvement upon the energy with the Economic and Social Development Plan of 2021 to 2025, with improvement to the current electricity access to be fully accessible by 2029. Energy and production in Bolivia, most of the domestic energy supply is based off oil and other oil products, as well as natural gas, with more renewable energies being introduced, but still not the most. Bolivia's national economy has a total GDP of $49.67 billion with an inflation rate of 5.1%. Their total energy spend has been 2.4 billion, and their cumulative budget for over the 10 years is 28.476 billion. Our budget for this proposal will be 2.8 billion. Our full proposed solution would be a job program to build out current infrastructure in rural areas and maintain both rural roads and the infrastructure that is currently in the areas. This job program while it is targeting rural communities to increase the employment rate, it is not the only community that will be focused on. The second part of this proposal is an education plan for specifically for rural communities, aiming to increase the number going to post-secondary education with a focus on energy education. This is to secure the future of Bolivia's energy future by providing energy education to continue to improve upon the current energy solutions. Included in this plan is exchange resources for education for Bolivian engineers on Brazil's energy systems, and to assure communities that they will not feel excluded during the electrification of their community, a creation of a council for Bolivian communities so they can still be vocal during this process.
And so to break down the budget of that full proposed solution, first of all, we're looking at around $2 billion to be expended on expanding the grid and improving infrastructure in rural communities. That would mostly boil down to paying for the materials themselves in the infrastructure, but also for hiring people to do that work. Furthermore, we are allocating $648 million for increasing funding for post-secondary education, as well as increasing incentives for families pursuing education. And finally, we're allocating $200 million for the formation and maintenance of a committee to ensure the complete communication and transparency of energy integration, totaling to $2.848 billion for our 10-year plan. And to get more into the trade across countries, we would like to partner with Brazil because Brazil is currently undergoing trade deals with Bolivia for natural gas. And with this trade deal, we would like to include an opportunity for Bolivian citizens to travel to Brazil and learn more about their energy production means, such as utilizing biofuels. These citizens would then become project managers in Bolivia and utilize their expertise that they gained in Brazil to apply that knowledge to Bolivia's domestic energy future. While Brazil's need for natural gases will diminish as time goes on, the expertise gained by Bolivian project managers will allow for greater energy production than before. To get more into the education side of things, there is not a lot of post-secondary education in Bolivia, as only 53.8% of Bolivia's population has at least completed their upper secondary education. With increased educational funding and incentives, more families will be able to prioritize post-secondary educational opportunities like trade school and university. And then this would result in more individuals being able to take on the jobs in the energy sector, as well as being able to have more people become teachers, perpetuating the cycle of education even further. And to get more into the specifics of this energy plan with respect to education, in the phase one, in the initial part of our 10-year plan, we're going to focus on efforts to go into trade schools. Those who complete their trade education would then be able to have a higher starting position within the job programs. Included in the first phase is a rural teacher program to get better STEM education into the rural communities. So primary and secondary students will have easier transitions into higher education. And then into phase two, the latter part of our 10-year plan, we're going to move away from encouragement towards trade schools and more towards university programs, which can focus on both engineering and energy technology, which we can then put through the cross-border exchange program with Brazil.
The next part of our plan is domestic energy employment. So, this part, the Bolivian electricity grid, while strong in large cities and other population centers, it lacks connection to many rural areas. The grid is maintained by the state-owned corporation Empresa Nacional de Electricidad, or ENDE, and this $2 billion project proposal to expand the grid into rural area would expand the grid into rural areas while providing jobs to Bolivian citizens, which would stimulate the economy. Yeah, our final part of the plan is community interactions, where a committee will be formed to ensure communication and transparency of the energy integration. Members would include representatives of the national and department government, the communities in which the grid is being newly implemented, and the project managers and employees. The committee would be subject to review from all parties involved, ensuring it efficiently serves everybody's desires.
And in conclusion, through these methods, we believe that Bolivia's energy future will be efficient,
Sustainable, equitable,
and reliable. Thank you.